You're listening to the AfterBuzz TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your number one source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith Johnson.
The AfterBuzz Studios in Los Angeles, California. Presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AfterBuzz TV's Orange is the New Black After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AfterBuzz TV's Orange is the New Black After
Animal.
The cage is full.
Today is new, and everyone is waiting on you. And
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, AfterBuzzers. Welcome to first season, second episode of Orange is the New Black, episode entitled Tit Punch, appropriately so. Because red is now Floyd Mayweather boxing breasts.
There you go.
Really funny. So yeah, let's get into this one because Piper is beginning to evolve already. It so seems.
Who are you guys?
Well, they don't know who we are?
I'm sorry. I'm your host, Thaddeus Massey, and joining me today is...
Hi guys, I'm McKay.
I'm Scott Moore, and I have to say this might be the best named episode of TV history.
Right.
Just putting it out there.
Great. And I'm Megan Thomas.
And joining us also is Marisa Serafini,
What's
super
up, guys?
producer.
Love the show.
Oh, goodness.
And we love you.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, we love you back. Okay, so, Piper. Pipes, as she's so belovedly called by her fiance. She is learning some new things. And I guess when you're being starved out, then you have to figure things out a little faster than,
Yes.
I guess,
Most people.
you would if you weren't getting starved out.
Right.
Right? So, how is she going to get into Red's good graces? How is this going to happen?
Survival.
I mean, she's obviously not cut out for this. I don't know. This girl, this episode, it was really more of a... what was the first thing she did as far as bartering is concerned? This is really what got her on the path of survival, right? Learning the barter system.
Well, before she even got there, she basically confronted Red in the bathroom there. Red's like, getting her legs shaved and, like she's at the spa,
Yeah.
just like...
I really felt like she was at Burke Williams or something. I was like,
Yeah.
what is this?
And I guess we also, in this episode, we see that what kind of power Red has inside this facility. We see what her life was like outside of it. And then we see how she's climbed up the food chain in prison. And she gets her legs shaved, and if you notice behind her, there's a sign that says "No sitting," and she's like laid out, towels, getting her legs shaved. I mean,
and
everything.
nobody else is in there.
Nobody.
And in fact, I think it's kind of a known fact. Oh, Red's using the bathroom right now.
Yeah.
Don't go in there because it's being used right now. So the fact that go ahead.
Your food privileges will be taken
Right.
away.
I mean,
Right.
you don't mess with somebody who makes your food.
Yeah, she's got a lot of power.
She's got a lot of juice.
That's right.
So she goes in there, and what does she do? What does Piper do? She's going in there to
Try to apologize and
to-
make things right,
yes, because she
like any normal person would. But this is prison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Red basically tells her how it is, and you can't sit there and apologize. Does nothing for Red. Does nothing by the apology. She said you seem like a sweet girl, and you're nice, but that doesn't get you anywhere here. So
She's right.
she talks about the whole weakness, and you got to come up. You'll figure something out, right?
She says the moment that you're perceived to be weak, you're weak.
But don't you guys think in a way that is Red trying to prepare her how to handle herself? I feel like just because she's gone through that in her life of wanting to be accepted, wanting to be, wanting to fit in, that to her it's tough love showing, she's showing tough love to Piper to have her understand what she needs to do to survive in prison.
But yeah, you're right. And even before that, I think it's funny because Piper feels like she has to fight her. Like she's like, I'm in a jungle. So if she's gonna fight a lady with like a bad back to get her food privileges back, I don't see how that would work. Even if she did beat up Red, I don't see why Red would then say, you know what, you get your food back.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost kind of like
perception.
It is perception. It's almost like she has a lock on the minds of the other prisoners, especially since I don't know if it does have anything to do with the food, but it seems as if she probably even got to be in charge of the food because she had some kind of juice to begin with. I don't know if the chicken came before the egg in the situation. If she had some juice and that got her to be in charge of the kitchen, or was the other way around, who knows? But the bottom line is she has it. Right. She is the Don of the prison, so to speak. Or it seems like everything, like they have the different cliques, right?
Right.
And everybody, there's like the heads of each clique, but it's like Red was like the boss of everybody.
Yeah,
right.
Which again, it goes back to she's the one that doles out the food, so you gotta,
Is it because of that though? That's my question. Do you think it's because of the food, or is there some other Russian mafia thing going on?
There's probably, there's both. But the fact that she's running with the food, though, to me, as just someone who started to watch it on episode 2, that's what I'm assuming, because food is a powerful thing here.
But what comes with the food? I think it's more than the food that she's in charge of. So
and I think it to what you're saying,
she's a gatekeeper of whatever comes in. So you need to be nice to her if you want to get products.
Yeah. And I think it comes from both ends, not just from the inmates, but from the supervisors as well. Because if you think about it, there's a lot of, they're not doing stuff up to code, as we find out. There's all kind of stuff, mold on top of the pudding. Like you're not supposed to feed people that, not even in prison. So I think she keeps her mouth shut about a lot of stuff that they do, and the prison gets to keep their costs down, so they don't really mess with Red too much. And same with the prisoners. I want to eat. You need food to survive. So they're like, I'll do whatever she says. So she's got power from both sides.
Yeah.
This is an interesting perspective.
Yeah.
Because I want to see, obviously everybody, if they haven't seen it, I've seen it all, but I think they're still going to be developing into the next season, season 2, how exactly her power ties into, her walking in the bathroom on Healy. Like she takes carte blanche with some things, even with the authority that are the prison guards. So I want to see a little more of why she is who she is, and it's deeper than, to me, just being associated with the mob. To me, I don't know. There has to be something else. There has to be.
Well, yeah, but we started to learn a little bit of her background in this episode, and maybe why she reacted the way she did to Piper.
Yeah. Right.
We saw what happened.
Yeah, Piper, I guess,
Pretty
reminds
girls.
her of some of the people that I would say probably helped to get her into this place. We don't know why Red got locked up, but we can safely assume it has something to do with a mob, perhaps. Some illegal activity in that area, and Piper looks like the women that made her
the
punch
cute
the
little
tit,
little. Let's talk about the titty destruction.
But before we do that, but it just goes to show that Red's a people pleaser, and she goes out of her way to help people and be nice to them up front, and then you can see with her in the mob wise, she's trying to put herself out there, she's trying to get friends, but yet they're treating her unfairly, and she's getting the same treatment from Piper, and she's this brand new person who's giving her crap, and that's why she reacted because she's going out of her way and being nice, and yet she's not receiving the fair treatment.
That's exactly how I took it too. That's why she reacted the way she did.
Also, to add on to that, I think the reason why she reacts or treats authorities the way she does is because of her background and where she comes from, where I think the mobs are so much, to her, bigger than the authorities. They really don't care too much about the authorities. So she's coming from that lifestyle, so to her, to have a guard tell her something, it doesn't really do anything. For God's sake, she punched one of the mob's wives, which I guess they cost $60,000.
That was some expensive.
So
dress.
she doesn't care walking on Healy and telling him what to do.
Yeah, and I think also that she makes a mention like that's fine. You can tell the warden that you remember what happened last time when I walked out. So she has that in her back pocket because we clearly see the help that she has in the kitchen is not adequate enough to keep this ship moving. And you have 3 meals a day that you have to put out. So if you don't have adequate help, I can see why you would have an irate group of angry women. And if they're on their cycle, then that's even worse. You got like all these women that are just angry.
Right.
So she's like, I mean, that's fine. You don't have to do the stuff that I need you to do. You don't have to get me a new freezer. I'll just walk out because you remember what happened last time.
Right.
So then they're like, okay, we got to do whatever Red says.
Well, you can obviously see there's of course been some kind of transformation with her from that time till now. She had longer hair then, so she, now she has short hair. I mean, there was obviously a while ago, so there's obviously been some sort of drastic change with her as a person.
Yeah. She's toughened up too.
Yeah, from that time period, and that's what makes the arc of her character so interesting to me, because I want to know what happened in between to make her become this. She's as cold as steel now, and she obviously was not like that before. She was very she was catering, and she was trying to get along with the wives, as we saw, which was probably, 1983 or something? You see those outfits they had on? Old school spandex, and those and they're walking with their big hair.
No, it was fantastic,
like,
with the weights in their arms and everything. It was a great setup because you saw the thread, though, of, like, her situation to basically what Piper had on her first day in prison there.
Right.
Was the same thing. It was like she was trying to get in with these women. They're all doing their exercises. She makes a joke that didn't come across well because one of the women's son or brother
was retarded.
had mental issues, and she made a joke that didn't sit well with her, and so she was shunned out of that group. And it was that same thread of like what happened with Piper, with the same thing with the yogurt. So I just love that thread that they both share, and I think that's part of that deeper thing of like why she reacted the way she did towards Piper.
But I think she's always had that mean streak though, because you remember what her husband says. He was like, when he finds out that she punched the woman's breast, he said, "Did you count to 10? You're supposed to count to 10." So that means like she's always had some kind of anger issues. Anger management is in her.
And I think that's part of the symbolism of her hair too. Her hair being a fire red, like red being like she's on fire, like she probably has a temper issue, and it seems like her husband is a little bi. I mean, he's a little timid.
And I'm sorry to say, but that's a typical stereotype of Russian man as well. So
you're right. Exactly. There's again a very
the women
the
are in
powerful
control.
Woman.
That's the stereotype. That a woman is the one that wears the pants in the household.
Wow, that's very interesting. That's good to know.
You guys mentioned that counting to 10. When she yells at Piper in the kitchen, she only gets to like number 3 and then she blows up at Piper.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right. Very good observation there. That's right. Oh my gosh, yeah.
So she's taking that mantra to jail with her, to prison with her, for practicing her temper control, her anger control issues, and maybe she's done some anger management. Taking some anger management classes.
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, I just think it's a whole different ballgame. So she can channel her anger differently now.
I mean, she can. I mean, she can use it to her advantage in prison.
Yeah, because you know when she has that scene with Piper where they're in the kitchen and Piper's like, "Just fight me. Just let's get this over with."
She's prepared to take a beating. That's how hungry this girl is.
Yeah,
she's hungry. She was like, "You can beat me, but I will eat."
Right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat.
And she does something so much worse to her than hitting her. I feel like that would have been the easy route to hit Piper. She's like, "No, you're gonna starve to death. You're gonna leave out of here as a skeleton."
Right.
I'm like, "Yo, that's deep. You have some serious anger, Red, to do this to this person for one insult. That's serious."
Well, I think, as Marisa said, that one insult, is really close to her heart because of how she's been treated and not fitting into, with the wives of the mobs. I mean, that's a big thing.
Right.
So for them to completely take a detour and say, "Oh, isn't your house over there?"
Right.
Like, she sees them.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing. And, they even go as far as turning off the vending machines.
Yeah, that was
Larry
so good.
is visiting her.
Yes, that was really good because at first I thought she was being paranoid. Like, of course that she doesn't have that kind of power. It was just a coincidence. Like, she's starting to lose her mind.
Yeah.
But they totally did. That was so good.
That's how you know.
Yeah.
That's how you know.
How vindictive.
And now
that's
how much
how
power.
That's how you know how much power Red has.
Right.
That's what really is like. This is a visiting room.
Yeah.
This is not inside the prison.
Yeah.
This isn't the kitchen. This is the visiting room where everybody's outside family comes that are not criminals, who are not locked up. Come and they get to go get snacks.
Right.
So good.
And
it was so good.
But that tells you also, like, when the inmates are like, I can't even give you any food. When Nikki is in the bunk and she's like, I would give you a pretzel, but these walls have eyes. I'm like, okay, you guys are being way paranoid. Like, nobody's gonna tell if you give her a pretzel. Come on now. Nobody's gonna be mad if you slip her, you know, your cornbread. No, you know, you think that it's really not that bad, but then you see later in this episode what the ramifications are for giving her a piece of lettuce. Like, you know what I mean? That's serious power.
And obviously the walls do have eyes. And I believe that if she gave her a piece of a pretzel, that somebody would have found out.
Oh yeah.
And then Nikki would have been in hot water with Red. It's like, well, what are you doing? You know, kind of thing. So yeah, she wasn't gonna give her, not even get involved with Chapman, and she's new to the whole prison thing. And it's like, dude, you have to learn your lesson, you know, kind of thing. Speaking about the cornbread, though, bringing the cornbread up. I mean, Alex, she's pissed. I mean, Piper is hungry. She's not hungry. She's hungry. And she doesn't take cornbread.
That was big. That was big.
So that goes to show how much in the doghouse Alex is with Piper. Like, she's what, Scott?
I mean, wouldn't you be the same? I mean, if that had happened to you, and also I don't think I'd be the same way.
Are all bets off though when you're hungry?
I know. I do think so. Yes, if you're being given cornbread and everything. But I was also taking another level too, that she didn't want to be seen eating the cornbread, because if she did, sort of going back to what we were saying with the eyes, you know, the walls have eyes.
Right.
If she ate the cornbread, people are going to notice, and that was going to piss off, you know, Red even more. So I took it as two-pronged, I guess. She was so pissed off at Alex, but also she didn't want to eat the cornbread because she knew if she did, she'd be in deeper crap with Red, and it was going to be longer.
I don't think she cared.
Yeah, I don't think.
I took it as that because she was eating. I don't know.
No, I don't think
she
she cares about Red. I think it was simply to, you know, make stand up to Alex and show her that, you know, I'm not going to talk to you, and what you've done to me, you're the reason why I'm in here.
It's unforgivable.
So that has nothing. I think she would rather starve to death than to take anything from Alex.
And I think it's also partly like she's learning very quickly. Piper's learnt. I put a T on it because she's learnt that you have to. Nothing is free in prison. There's always something that you have to give, and she learns that by saying, okay, if I take this cornbread from Alex, that also means that I owe her something, or now she has the right to talk to me, or this isn't free. So you know what? You can keep your cornbread. I don't want anything to do with you. I'm throwing this in the trash. Yeah. She's crazy because I would have eaten it, and then I would have yelled out, "I'm not your friend still, but I will eat this cornbread."
I would have done the same thing as you. I would have eaten. I would have been so freaking hungry. How could you not?
Right.
But yeah, it was interesting because Alex got her repercussions for that too.
Well, if you guys want to chime in on whether or not you would have eaten the cornbread, you guys can give us a call, 424-256-1633. That's 424-256-1633. You can add your 2 cents. Tell us whether you would have eaten the cornbread. Tell us how you would have reacted to the tampon McMuffin from last episode. You can let us know anything and ask us any questions, or just tell us if we got something wrong. We don't care because we know you're watching it too. So me personally, I don't know what I would have done in that situation. If you were really thinking on the next level of getting back at Alex, you would have eaten the cornbread in Red's face and told her, yeah, I got the cornbread from her.
Oh, there you go. I like
That's
that
how you
idea.
get back at Alex.
That's a good idea. I love cornbread though, so it would have been really, I'm just saying, it would have been really, really hard for me.
Go to Red and be like, I need some butter with my cornbread.
Right.
That was given to me by Alex.
And I got it from her right there. Take it back. And then she would have been Red would have been like, from what? Okay. Then Alex would have been getting starved out.
Right. Which she should be, rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, Alex, yeah.
And also in this episode, I'm not sure what to think about Healy, because at the beginning of the episode, he when Piper goes to him, he's like, I'm gonna write down everything on what's going on here, and she hesitates because at first she's getting ready to tell him everything,
right?
And then she's like, I'm good. I don't need to move to another prison.
You think this is Renaissance?
The Radisson.
Right.
But going back to what I said, the fact that she mentioned she has a fiance completely threw him off. So now he's being an ass to her when he was comparing them and saying, you know, how similar we are, we're the same type of people. Now he's being an ass to her.
Yeah.
So I could see the attraction there, he's trying to hold back, but
He's trying to hold back.
yeah,
But I have a, I
literally
don't,
hold
Chapman.
back.
right. I don't understand. So when he goes and he has the scene with what's her name with half the hair, the crazy hair.
The big
one,
girl?
Yeah, the big girl that was in the shower scene that saw that looked
Tasty.
Tasty. I always forget her name.
Yeah.
Tasty. So when he's talking to Tasty in the library and they're talking through the bookcase
Yes.
and he's getting the information, at that moment I'm thinking he's trying to use his powers for bad and not good because, you know, he's basically like, what's going on? Give me the information. Tasty's snitching. And
Give me the scoop.
right.
Give me the Meg scoop.
And of course he gives her candy for her information, but I don't understand what he's using that information for. Do you guys think it's to help or to harm?
To harm.
That's
Definitely
how I took
to
it
harm.
too. Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's. I don't think he's using it to harm. I think he's just using it
as a leverage.
as leverage
That's
to
collateral.
for however he feels like he may need to use it when that, because things about a situation like being in prison, it's like you've moment to moment. If there's so many minute and petty situations that are actually grand situations because they're living in such a primal state.
Right.
So he doesn't know how he may have to use that information. He may have to use it for good over here and then for bad over here. It just kind of depends because he's dealing with pretty much everybody, right?
Right.
So I think he just needs the information. He just needs to know. He needs to be in the know of what's going on.
And I think, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was just gonna say, I feel like he, by holding information or by putting information together, maybe to report it to higher ups and to seem like he's on top of it and doing his job, I don't know, might be good for him because as soon as Piper starts, you know, talking and mentioning and what did he say? Did someone engage with you sexually? And he takes out a notepad and starts writing it down. I was like, really? Like,
Right.
No.
just listen to her, what she has to
Right.
say. And then she realizes, oh, crap, you know, he's writing it down. I can't say anything. This is going to go on record.
I was so glad
So-
and so happy to see that she was smart enough
Right.
Yeah.
not to say anything, but I don't know, maybe when you go to like private boarding schools and you see the headmaster pull out something, you're about to write something and it's about to be documented. That's something that I think that's standard when you start to document.
But it's like
you know.
he's kind of like a reporter.
Yeah.
You know, he wants to get the big story. He wants to be the one to break the story. So that's why he goes around trying to compile information and reward people with candy.
Well, if something goes on record, it's gonna leak. They're gonna find out. You know, the inmates are gonna find out, and it'll just make her situation.
But then
Worse. Yeah, and I think that's why she's smart. And I'm glad she didn't do that. I'm glad she didn't put the information out there. And then he could have also used that against her and went to Red and said, hey,
Right.
she's telling me, which means she's probably going to tell some other people, which
Right.
means is not going to look good for you. You know, and that would have been bad for Piper.
Well, she thought she was speaking freely, and then as soon as somebody pulls out a napkin or a pad and a pen and puts his glasses on, now you're not speaking freely anymore. Now it's
on the record kind of thing.
on the
yeah.
record documentation.
Well, I took it as kind of creepy too, like going back to what
Right.
you're saying in the first episode, because the thing he asked is about the sexual stuff. Like that was the very first thing he asked, and I just thought that seemed weird to me. Like, as a did you guys think
Right.
that? Like,
Yeah.
That just like. Raised
I don't
the
know
red
why
flag there.
that's such a big deal for him. I feel like he's been traumatized or
perv.
something as maybe
He's just a perv.
child.
That's it.
well,
but,
you think
you
he's
know,
a perv? I
He
think
might be.
I think he's the opposite. I think he's some straight lace who thinks that is engaging
yeah.
in that activity is perverted. And he you know, like, let me know if there's any kind of lesbian activity going on. That's how I take his character being like totally like, you know, in
Square.
some square box. Like,
Is there
But see,
a
I
wedding-
would have thought about that, but then the fact that he's okay with bribes and giving Tasty stuff, and he was okay with walking away from Tasty without giving her the bribe, which tells me that you're okay with you have an agreement with somebody. You give me information, I give you stuff, but I'm going to walk away with your information and I give you your stuff. So that to me says that character probably is not always on the up and up, which is why I don't know how to feel about him. I'm like, okay, he has some little scandalous tendencies.
Right.
He's okay with not giving her candy. I mean, how much did the candy cost him? A quarter, maybe $1.
Right.
So the fact that you're okay and you have the look on your face like, when Tasty's like, excuse me, where's my candy?
right.
That tells me something's not okay with his character.
Plus, I think there is, what do you call that? Groups, breakout groups within the staff themselves, and he doesn't really fit in with the other staff, with the other
Cliques.
guards.
Clicks.
Cliques. There you go. That's the word I was
Yeah.
looking for. So,
Well, I mean, how
you
many
know,
other guards are there? I mean, they've only really introduced us to.
I mean, you have the
Kostandyan
front, you know, the people when you first walk in, you know, the visitors when you check in, so you have the guards there.
As well, yeah.
So, you know, he feels like, I think in his mind, he feels like he has to, you know, be his own pack and be on top of information, you know, that's going on, because he knows that they don't do everything legally. They don't do everything by the books.
Right.
So he needs to know what's going on inside. So he does need to bribe people to make sure that, you know, it doesn't get out of hand.
Yeah, I think for him, he has to play that game in order for him just to keep up. Keep up with them. It's not so much of having power, because he's already in a position of power, but he loses power once he doesn't have information. And just for him to be able to access that information or know what's really going on helps his badge mean something to a certain degree. Because if he doesn't know anything, they could just be telling him whatever whenever he meets with them, and his authority means nothing because he doesn't really know what's going on. The fact that he has real information will make his badge and his position mean something, because he actually has real, true information and knows what's going on. So that's how you can maintain control.
Because they actually do tell him the truth, and they tell him more than they tell Mendez. No one tells Mendez anything. Mendez has to go find his information. You know, he kind of has to trap people, but people actually go to Healy and tell him what's going on. Of course, they have an agreement, but still.
Yeah, there's a trust there.
Mendez has to strong arm his information.
Well, not necessarily, because he already, in this situation, he knows that they're not feeding Piper.
Who, Mendez?
Yeah, he does know.
Okay.
And so he gets information, I think, but I'm not sure how. I mean, they don't reveal.
But I don't think he's just a regular guard. I don't think he's like a counselor like Healy is. No. So that information, I think, is more useful. He's around it. I think we're gonna find that how he uses his information to his benefit is different than how Healy used that information, because he's not obviously in the same authority.
Lower level.
He's a lower level, like a middle management type of position.
Do we see a wedding ring on Healy's finger? I didn't really catch that.
I think so.
I didn't catch that either. That's a good observation. I did not catch that.
Yeah, I didn't either. At least not this episode.
Now I'm gonna have to look more carefully.
Yeah.
The viewers have to let us know.
Yeah.
And I'm interested, to see how it seems like this placement of power between Healy and Caputo play into who's boss, because here you have Healy, who wears a uniform, but now he seems a little older than Caputo, who wears a regular suit to work, and he's in a position of power too. So it's like who's boss?
Right.
I'm trying to figure that out.
I don't know if they're. Are they?
I think they might just report to the same person.
The warden. Yeah. Both of them report to the warden.
Because it's two different departments.
Now, what's Caputo's position? Do they tell us what Caputo's position is?
I think he's more of a facility manager or something like that.
Right.
Okay.
It's not but I definitely do think that Caputo and Healy are higher up the food chain than Bennett and
Mendez.
Oh yeah,
I was trying to call him Porn Stash.
That's his nickname. I don't want to call him
Mendez.
That's his nickname.
Yeah,
that is
it. Porn Stash.
Call him Porn Stash.
And then mentioning Bennett, of course, you see the budding romance between him and Diaz, which was very unexpected, by the way.
Yes.
No wonder he's new.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't understand why this guy would allow himself to be engaged in something so frivolous that would endanger his career or his job.
I mean, but people do that every day at work.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just, this is his job, and it just happens to be that he's surrounded by 90% women that he's supposed to. Yeah, there's, so I mean, if people will do it in the free world with, I don't know, they might not even have that many women at their workplace, but still might find a romance, then I can understand how it could happen.
Hold on, wait. But this is a little different. It is. True.
Because
they're not co-workers. This is like a teacher dating a child or dating a teacher.
Too extreme. That's like a VP dating an executive assistant, a secretary.
No.
Yes, it is.
Okay, it's like a professor dating a college student.
They're co-workers.
They're not co-workers. A CEO, you would not necessarily call his.
They work for the same company.
They're both on payroll.
Exactly.
Okay, and so
That's
inmates are on the Department of Corrections payroll technically, because they do get paid for that work, but it might be like a quarter a week.
Oh
Seriously.
my God.
No, they do. That's why they have jobs
I
in
know,
prison.
but what I'm saying
so
is,
technically they have the same boss.
But they don't pay taxes.
yeah,
Oh
they
my
do.
gosh,
That's
wow.
why they're
We have,
making,
like, really-
they're making 30 cents an hour. Yeah,
Right.
they pay taxes. to me, it's
We're
like
going off the-
to me, it's more like a student-teacher relationship than a coworker.
That's why I said professor, college students.
Exactly.
They're
Yeah,
adults.
okay, that makes
They're
sense.
all adults.
Right.
And there's a level of authority there, and you know,
Right.
so I could see that as
Exactly.
being
That's-
that way.
that's
and
why I
taking
liken it to
advantage
that.
of a
Exactly.
in a even more desperate of a situation. It's
But
not like you're
Bennett
trying to
seems
get
a
an
little right. Exactly.
But you also have to, wonder what does he really see that he thinks that's acceptable. He obviously, I think he sees the other guards probably doing maybe not.
I think he
The
just
women
doesn't get
aren't
any.
engaged willingly. You
Yeah.
know, they're forced to do it based on whatever agreement they've had. But I'm sure he's seen Mendes with other women, so
Yeah.
he thinks it's okay. He'll get away with it.
And then I think and essentially he's new, so I think he actually kind of like, she's cute.
Yeah.
And we
And
also
she's
find
new.
out, she's new, and we also find out that she's got the reason why she's in here has something to do with a man because of what her mother alludes to, which is
What her mother say?
when she goes to see her mother and she says, I don't like it in here. The guard with the mustache is looking at me, and her mother says to her, "Oh, isn't that what you like?" So then that alludes to there's something going on with men in her past. We don't know yet what that is, but when you see how forward she is with Bennett, when she's like, "Oh, you like me? Like, can I have some gum? You don't like me?" So it's kind of like, hold on, she's had something going on that makes her comfortable with men. We don't know what it is.
Right.
It could be bad. It could be good.
But
We
I
don't know.
think her mother made that comment based on her desperation. I don't think it was made based on, that it comes easily. I think she thinks her daughter is desperate for men
Well,
because she doesn't feel comfortable in her own body.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Either way, it has something to do with men and the fact that she's so forward with Bennett.
And we'll find out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We'll find out why she's
it'll-
okay with just being like, you don't like me. Don't you like me? Can I have some gum?
It will
So I'm like,
reveal
okay,
itself.
because nobody else did that.
Okay, let's talk about Crazy Eyes for a hot second.
oh my God.
Can I do my crazy ass real quick?
I love Crazy Eyes. She is so funny.
Right.
Poetic.
Yes.
I think this actress, I don't know what her name is, but she is extremely talented.
Very.
I feel
Very.
like
Uzo Aduba.
what is it?
That Uzo
Uzo
Aduba.
Aduba.
Yeah.
She's extremely talented as far as I'm concerned. I feel like if you get her on the red carpet, she's gonna be like,
completely
yes,
different.
yes, I got the role, and she's gonna be all proper.
Yeah.
And she just seems like she has that whole theatrical background, and she got casted for a TV show. Like
Yeah.
she just
Yeah.
seems like she just has that kind of talent. That's what I think about. I think you're amazing. I would love to have you and your little knots.
Bantu knots on your head.
Right,
yes.
right. You come in and be interviewed by us.
But yeah, I thought it was a cute moment, in a way, like where they're all watching the movies and you can see again where Piper's status is because she doesn't have the headphones yet to be able to listen to the movie, and just the fact that she shared her head. I just thought it was cute. Like it was a cute little
Right.
moment there, even though there's more to it. It just felt kind of sweet and innocent, and like
It was.
And even before that, when Piper's still bartering and learning, Crazy Eyes helped her get her the jalapenos, and
the jalapenos is a big
line,
moment.
She said the line that people forget that we were all once new here.
Yeah.
So it shows that she is helpful and sincere in
cares.
some way.
And cares in some way.
Yeah, she cares, but she's still kind of a little bit on the crazy side, which makes her, I think, more lovable.
Yeah, and I think, this also goes to show nothing is free because she even says, she's like, don't worry about it. We were all once new. And Piper's like, oh, okay, well, thank you. Because, she's like, I don't have anything to trade with you.
Right.
And at the end, when we see that Crazy Eyes, nothing is free because when she shared that earpiece, she also shared that hand.
Yeah, she's like,
Now we're mates.
Yeah, no, I love that whole scene. I thought it was great.
Right.
Another great scene that I really liked too was the whole thing when they went into orientation.
Yes.
That whole thing
Let's
was
talk about
great.
orientation real
First of
quick.
all, that whole video, like I felt like it was like the resort channel when you check into the hotel.
Yes.
It was hilarious. Like I just love the fact I'm looking, we pay money for this.
They
was
said it's
creepy.
humane and cost
Yes.
effective.
And we have fitness activities
Right.
and like all these
And
other
you could
things.
get your GED.
Yeah, and you can go to
now-
night school.
And now on to the important stuff. Violence. Like flashes across the screen.
That was really creepy for me. It was like really Twilight Zone-ish.
Oh,
Right.
I
And
love
I
it.
love how
What?
Mendez has all the weapons. He's like, this copper pipe was in the bathroom.
Right.
And he, like, is so nasty with all of the objects. He, like,
knock your skull in.
And then he's like, with everything. Goodness gracious.
What I didn't understand is why Alex was in orientation.
Because I think she's so
I didn't
new.
get that either.
Because she's not wearing
Yeah,
the orange jumpsuit, but she's in orientation, and Piper made sure she doesn't sit next to her. She would rather take a broken chair.
But you know, because I think if you remember, I feel like it was the last episode. There's so many names. Murillo says something to the effect of they don't have all of the jumpsuits in yet, so they are supposed to have the khaki ones, but the 3 new inmates that came will have to wear their orange ones a little longer because something's going on with the jumpsuits. And so what I think is maybe orientation's like once a month or something. So everybody that comes in just ends up going to orientation, or maybe every other week, something like that.
Got it.
And can we also mention the introduction of Natalie Figueroa?
Oh yes.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah,
What a
the assistant. Yes, the assistant, the executive assistant to the warden.
Yes.
I'm not here for questions, thank you.
Yes.
She sashays away. Like,
With her heels and her outfit.
I'm
like,
only
ooh.
here on formality.
Yeah, that was so great.
Yeah, she's a total diva.
But I was gonna say, it goes
Where
back
did
to
they get her?
the orange jumpsuit thing too,
Yeah.
because remember her mom says that too about like, oh, you don't want to be.
When
once
am
you
I going to
the-
get out of this?
when
When
I
am I
get-
going to get
Yeah.
You're old news.
Yeah, once you're in the beige or the brown ones, you're old news. Yeah,
Right.
Funny.
that was a kind of a interesting.
And then I
moment,
also
too.
like the doctor, and he was just like, you might have suicidal thoughts. You want to kill yourself. And
if you
now. If you don't, you probably will.
Yeah.
Like,
The
okay,
doctor's
that's positive.
Okay, so
hilarious. The whole orientation.
before we wrap up, what are there any other scenes or
Well,
scenarios
just
we
the
haven't
big
touched
thing
upon?
with the whole stuff with Red and what Piper did to.
Oh,
get
yeah.
that,
Yes.
that was
So
why she took
let's-
those peppers and.
Why she took the peppers? So what did she do with the peppers?
Chew them up.
And she made medicine.
She
That's
made-
back
she
cream.
made-
Homeopathic remedy cream
Yeah.
for Red's
Jalapeno
back
cream.
pain.
Yeah, so now you know that jalapenos and what else did she
Was it
use?
like-
Capsaicin.
Capsaicin?
Which
Yeah.
is in the
in the
jalapenos.
jalapenos,
But what was
yeah.
it? Was it shea
Shea
butter?
butter.
Was
Shea
that what it
butter.
was that she got
so
from the
shea
salon?
butter, shea butter, jalapenos, and saliva. It works as a salve for heat rub. I'm gonna have to try that.
And she gets food.
And
Yes,
Finally
finally.
she gets food.
Well, and of course the
And
Betty dies.
Alex doesn't.
Yeah, Alex gets because we know because of the cornbread thing, but we found out Betty dies.
Betty
and-
does
Freezer.
that.
Betty
Yeah.
the
Now, did you guys
And
think there was something into that when they were talking about the Freon and
You know,
huffing?
true. I really honestly feel that Nikki and the other inmate with the blonde cornrows
Yes.
Yeah.
were, I mean, obviously we already know that Nikki has a drug problem, and
Right.
so when the technician comes to fix Betty and he says the properties in Freon that will make it's like crack but no headache,
Right.
they're giving the look like, oh, we got this.
Yeah.
We
Right.
got this. So I mean, I think maybe they might have had something to do with Betty dying. If not, they're just reaping the benefits of that Freon.
Yeah, and there was also the line that when they were talking to Caputo, I forget who exactly says it, but they're like, you got to know when to get played. And they mentioned that it kind of hinting that
Right.
the inmates had something to do with the
Right.
Yeah.
Betty dying.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Betty.
And get that new freezer. So.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there was a line in there that Red mentions, and I didn't really know what she meant because I think people have done worse, but when they're recruiting for a new staff member in the kitchen, and she says, well, make sure they haven't stabbed anyone. And I'm like, well, what does that have anything to do with food? Isn't that great because they know how to use it?
Not because they are working around knives.
Just
so-
what I thought too. It's like around weapons.
I was thinking of the meat slicer that they're working with because they're while she's saying that she's working on that meat slicer, slicing up meat. So maybe because they're around blades.
That's
Yeah.
how I took
that
it. You don't
they
want
took that
someone.
concern.
Yeah.
You don't want someone that has a history with that to
Right.
be back there. You know.
Because they will be using it
Yeah.
against somebody or some kind of way. Anyway, all right. So, do we have any news and gossip for
Yes,
this
we
episode?
do.
AfterBuzz TV News.
News and gossip.
This
Episode
has
2. Make
to-
Scoop go.
Before we do that, what's up with Adventures of Serial Buddies?
Oh yes, good old Adventures of Serial Buddies. It's a fantastic movie, guys. You have to check it out. It helps
Funny.
us here at AfterBuzz. You know, keep the light on, keep the AC going here, nice and chilled in the LA summer. And yeah, I mean, who are all the people that are in it? There's so many. Like you were saying, your mom.
Your mom's in there, so that's why you must download this. Maria Menounos, Beth Bears, Kathy Lee Gifford.
Oh yeah, Kathy Lee. Yeah, Henry Winkler.
Henry Winkler.
Oh my God, it's such an ensemble group. It's a great movie. You got to check it out. And the awesome thing about it too is it's $4.99 to rent, but it's only $5.99, $1 more to own it and watch it as much as you want this summer while you're traveling, hanging out at the beach. Definitely check it out.
That's a good deal.
Check it out. Enjoy it. And thank you
StereoBuddies.com.
in advance.
Yes.
It's funny.
And our news kind of goes along with that. So Henry Winkler, who is the voice in Adventures of Serial Buddies, he was actually on the Late Show with Craig Ferguson, and he revealed something. He has a history with Jenji Cohen, and she's the writer, she's the creator of Orange is the New Black. That used to be his intern. Did you guys know that? Isn't that crazy? And he also says that she developed Weeds as well.
She was the creator of Weeds, yeah.
And so he said when she was in high school that she was his intern. And look, the intern for Henry Winkler, you'll get your own show on Netflix.
There you go.
Oh, Hollywood.
So, Henry, I will be giving you a call so I can intern for a week.
Right.
That's it. Okay, let's do predictions, which will come from Meg Scoop. And Scott Moore.
I have one too.
But you've
seen the whole season.
Season 2.
Oh, stop.
That comes last episode.
Emma. This one here. Okay, predictions. Episode 3. Meg Scoop, go.
Episode 3. I think Crazy Eyes is gonna realize that her love is not being matched by Piper, and so she's gonna live up to her name and become crazy. I think.
That's a good one.
Okay, Scott Moore.
I'm going with what we
3.
saw with Larry, which I thought was a big thing. I mean, we didn't really get to touch on the whole cleanse thing with the flashback.
Yes.
When she kind of cheated on the cleanse thing, and then he got all into it when he didn't really seem too into it at the beginning. But when he starts watching Mad Men, and he puts down the picture of the two of them, I felt like that was the first kind of sign that we have that maybe the relationship is going to start going through a rocky period. So I took that as a nice little potential thing there, as there's going to be some issues there with their relationship.
Do you think that he feels justified since she cheated on the...
I don't even think it had to do with that. I think it just had to do with starting to see the
relationship.
It plants the seed of their relationship there.
That plants a seed of dishonesty, maybe.
I don't know. I think there's more to it, though.
Okay, well, until next week, where can we find you guys?
You can find me always on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream.
I love me some ice cream. You can find me on Twitter at sman80, SMAN80, and also on the True Blood After Show right here on Sunday nights.
You guys can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Real Emma K, and also on Pretty Little Liars. It's Tuesday at 8 o'clock and Suits at 10.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Club Thaddeus, CLUBTHADDE. US. Until next time, after Buzzers.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Bye.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.